This is a Chiefs team that you cannot count out. They've showed you all season where if their offense doesn't look the best, they don't look the best collectively, they're still going to find ways to win. They're still going to find ways to scheme you and beat you with Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. And with Patty Mahomes in the playoffs, fresh off a bye, I can't count them out. I think the Chiefs win this one handily. I'm going to rely on the Bills getting the football last, having the football in their possession, and being able to pull this one out in an instant classic. I think this one is going to be a classic. I don't think they're going to have enough firepower to overcome Campbell and that potent Jared Goff-led offense. With Gibbs and Monty, if Monty's back, it's just going to be too much in my opinion. I see the Lions taking down the Commanders in this one. I think that the Rams, coming off that performance against Darnold and the Vikings, find a way to get enough pressure on Jalen Hurts, make him uncomfortable, get after him, and I think their offense orchestrates some drives. They lean on Kyren Williams, and I think they get it done again. Kenny C back on the ones and twos, baby. Those were indeed my divisional round picks. I went 2-2 in the divisional round. I am 6-4 with my overall playoff picks from the wild card through the divisional. Now we go to the AFC NFC Championship games, which is what I will be previewing and giving my picks on. Subscribe to the channel. Those returning, I thank you very much. Those who are watching for the first time, you'll want to stick with me and subscribe to the channel because we keep that football content coming every single week, and we talk other sports as well. Baseball, hockey, basketball, that is all coming as soon as the NFL concludes with the Super Bowl on February 9th. But for right now, we're locked in. My football fans, welcome back. Let's get into it. Bills, Chiefs, we'll start the AFC with the AFC Championship game. Two familiar foes going head-to-head. Third time that they're playing each other from 2020 until now. The last time they played each other in an AFC Championship game was in 2020. Going into this one, the Chiefs are -1.5 point favorites. Very slim in this one. The Bills are the underdog. They are going to Kansas City. You're going to have to play in loud Arrowhead, but this game is going to be epic. This is what we love to watch as football fans. Josh Allen and Mahomes go head-to-head. Allen, 4-1 record in the regular season against Mahomes, but where it matters, 3-0 in the postseason, Mahomes is over Josh Allen. The last time the Bills pulled out a playoff win over Kansas City, 1993 AFC Championship game. The Bills went on to lose to the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Bills coming off of a classic, 27-25. It did say, you heard me, this game will be a classic. Lamar v. Allen, two MVP candidates going head-to-head. It indeed was. And 3 out of the 4 of these games in the divisional round came down to which team wins the turnover battle. And that indeed was the Buffalo Bills. Lamar with an interception and a fumble. Mark Andrews with a fumble and a marquee, brutal drop that will live in the heads of Raven fans for years to come. In that one, Josh Allen, he didn't have to be the most effective through the air. 16 for 22, 127 yards through the air, no passing touchdowns, but he was efficient. He had 5, 6, 8, 9-yard passes to move the sticks, create scoring drives. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. That's his forte. That's where he is lethal, and he outdueled Lamar in terms of the scramble game. Derrick Henry was largely shut down in that game. They only toted the rock with Henry 16 times. Todd Monken, I said this before the playoffs began, you got to run the rock with Derrick Henry. They didn't do so enough. He had that 1 rushing touchdown, but I believe 61 yards. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but that was around the ballpark for Derrick Henry. They clearly shied away from their identity in that game and did not do what they needed to do, which was run the rock with him. Lamar Jackson, 3-5 in the postseason, 10 picks, 7 fumbles, 4 of which lost. In this game, however, this was not on him. 18 for 25. He had 254 yards with 2 touchdowns. He did have the pick, but down in the clutch, he had no Zay Flowers, no Rashad Bateman, led the Ravens down the field, and 2-point conversion, Mark Andrews drops the ball. That's not on Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews, the drive before, fumbled the ball away. That's not on Lamar Jackson. Ultimately, is he James Harden when it comes to the postseason? I think so, until he proves to everybody otherwise that he can get to the pinnacle of the sport, which is the Super Bowl, the apotheosis of the sport. You got to live with the record that you have. looking at the Chiefs side of things, it was clear as day that this Texans offensive line, ranked 31st in the league, according to Pro Football Network, was not going to be able to contend with George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, and that Steve Spagnuolo scheme. 23-14 victory for Kansas City. Stroud was sacked 8 times. Travis Kelce went off for 117 yards on 7 receptions and 1 touchdown. So for those fans out there that want to solely blame the refs, it is interesting. Clay Martin, 7-0 the Chiefs are when Clay Martin is officiating their games. But at the end of the day, they couldn't stop Kelce, and their line couldn't block a nosebleed. And that's really what it comes down to. You can pinpoint the penalties, the 2 egregious roughing the passer penalties where the league needs to do a complete revamp of the rule, because those 2 roughing the passers, the one on Will Anderson and I think the other one was on Henry To'oTo'o, those were terrible. Those resulted in the Chiefs ending up getting 10 total points off of those 2 drives. And you just can't have that, especially in playoff football, when you have the whole nation watching these games. But Kai Fairbairn, he missed a field goal, he missed 2 field goals. One was blocked, and he missed one outright. That's 6 points left on the field. You can't have that sloppy play by D'Amico Ryans and his team. And if you want to win games, you can't have that against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I will say, they played turnover-free ball, and they had 100 more yards than the Chiefs did. Teams that did that, where they had more yards than the opposing team and played a clean game, were 42-0. Not C.J. Stroud and the Texans. They couldn't get it done. Now 42-1 when teams lead in those statistical categories. That's just unfortunate for the Texans. Let's get into this game. Enough of the yapping about those divisional games, as sick as they both were. Well, Texans and Chiefs was okay. Texans defensive front was playing real well. Ultimately, Stroud just wasn't efficient enough, and they couldn't get it done with no Tank Dell and no Stephon Diggs. The Bills game, that was a classic. Let's get into it. We got a rematch of the 2020 AFC Championship game. Josh Allen in Week 11 against the Chiefs in a 30-21 victory, rushed for 55 yards on 12 scramble/design runs and a touchdown. Collectively, the rushing attack of the Bills in that game had 147 yards rushing with 3 touchdowns. One of which came from Allen using his legs on that key 4th down, and the other 2 from James Cook. That's where they're going to have to hone in this game and utilize that rushing attack and make Karlaftis and Jones have to try to contain Josh Allen, because Josh Allen is lethal with his legs, as we know, and that is where they will definitely be going to attack the Chiefs. If you look on the Chiefs side of things, lean on Pacheco and lead on Kareem Hunt, because in the 4 losses that the Bills have had this year, on average, they've given up 144 yards per game. So that's where they got to go and target this Bills defense, especially if Terrell Bernard going into this game, he's going to be beat up. He's injured. I don't even know if he will play. He might play. If he plays, that's huge, because him and Milano need to try to contain Travis Kelce. That's not going to be easy. He's obviously the main go-to of Patrick Mahomes. It's been that way for years now. Taron Johnson, you need him in this game. He hurt his shoulder in the back end of that game. Taylor Rapp hurt his hip. He was carted off. You got to pray, if you're a Bills fan, that he can still be able to be a go in this game. And Connor McGovern with a AC joint injury to his right shoulder. So those are things to look out for sure. But this Bills defense, I think, has played stout enough. I think a lot of people think they're undersized. They're not the most skillful as what a lot of people try to deem them as. But I think they're a hell of a unit, and they are very talented, and they've proved that. And now they go with a chance to go into Kansas City and win it. Why would I go against the Bills when I went with them against the Ravens? I know you're not supposed to bet against or pick against the Chiefs, but I think Allen and company are going to finally do it and get that Steve Young monkey off their backs and win this game and go to the Super Bowl. What say you guys? Let's now get into the NFC Championship. Oh yes, we move on to the NFC, where starting it off on Championship Sunday are the Commanders and the Eagles in Philly at 3 p.m. The Eagles go into this one -4.5 point favorites. We get an NFC East duel between the rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. This is going to be an epic game. You had a snow-filled game for Philly and the Rams. You had the Commanders making history, Jayden Daniels specifically making history with a 45-31 upset victory of the Detroit Lions, the 1 seed. Daniels becomes just the second rookie quarterback in NFL history to upset a 1 seed. Joe Flacco did it for the Ravens in 08 season, 09 playoffs. Jayden Daniels just the 6th rookie quarterback in NFL history to get to a championship game, a conference championship game. Sean King did it with the Bucs in 99. Mark Sanchez did it with the Jets in 09. Joe Flacco did it with the Ravens in 08. Then you also had Big Ben in 04 and Purdy in 2022 with San Fran. Jayden Daniels playing with swagger, playing with confidence, playing with leadership. 22 for 31, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 51 rushing yards with his feet. He is a vital piece to the success of this Commanders team, and he does so as a dual threat quarterback. What a game we had, a back and forth shootout. I didn't think Jayden and the offense was going to be able to contend and keep up with Goff and the Lions offense, who averaged 33.2 points per game, and boy did they prove me wrong. That Commanders secondary, which I did say in my divisional preview, who needed to step up, oh boy did they. Mikey Samerstill with 2 huge picks, Quan Martin with a pick 6, the 3rd drive of the game, the strip sack by Dorrance Armstrong on Jared Goff, really started to swing things in Washington's way. They went on to score a touchdown after that turnover, 9-7. They won the turnover battle. They had 4 picks in this game. And the 4th pick, Jameson Williams, why the hell are you giving him the ball to try to throw downfield? That ball was easily picked off by, I believe it was Jeremy Chin. And the Commanders get this thing done through turnovers and through the elusivity of Jayden Daniels. And you can go out here, Detroit Lions fans, and all that talk I saw on Twitter about how the Packers are poverty and where are their fans when they're not playing well. First of all, that's a stupid statement, because Packer fans traveled probably the best in the National Football League to games, whether it's in Europe or whether it's in the United States, and they are we are loyal as hell fans. So for the Detroit fans that were all hyped and the NFC North, we are the kings, and you went into this game in the NFC Championship and you got shellacked in the end by a rookie quarterback in Jayden Daniels and the Commanders. And for those fans saying, well, look, we have 16 players on IR, and I understand, look, you had Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport, Aleem McNeil, Carlton Davis, to name a few of the marquee starters that were out on defense. But I got news for you. You want to talk trash about the Packers? In 2011, they had 15 players on IR going into that Super Bowl. And oh, by the way, lost 2 Hall of Famers at the half. They lost Charles Woodson and Donald Driver for the game, and still found a way to beat that amazing Steelers defense and win that Super Bowl. So sorry, but that's not an excuse. Now let me get back into this. Jayden Daniels is going to be the guy that you're going to have to look to in this game to do it with his feet. The last time he played the Eagles in a victory in Week 16, 38-33 victory, he was 24 for 39, 5 touchdowns, 2 picks, 81 yards rushing. That is what you're going to have to look for. On the Eagles side of things, they had no time to throw the football. Jalen Hurts got harassed by Chris Shula's defense. 7 sacks for that Rams front. But ultimately, that Eagles defense, which plays tough, which plays stout, with 1:14 left on a 3rd and 2, Jalen Carter, a game wrecker out of Georgia, comes through, sacks Stafford. They go 4 and out. That's the game. The turnover battle. The Eagles won that. Kyron Williams fumbles. Matt Stafford fumbles. They turn that into 6 points, 2 field goals apiece. And the Eagles, in that game, they got beat up. Jalen Hurts messed up that knee. Maybe it's a PCL. He's probably going to play. But is he going to be Jalen Hurts with that rushing touchdown that he had to start things off? We're probably not seeing that. He took a safety in the back end of that game, which made it really close for the Rams in crunch time. You're not going to see that same elusivity and that same mobilization of Jalen Hurts, and he's going to be primarily a pocket passer. Now, in this game against the Rams, Saquon Barkley, unstoppable it seems, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns on 26 totes. That's really where their bread and butter is going to come from. In the regular season against the Commanders, Barkley has rushed for 296 yards and 4 touchdowns. So Dorrance Armstrong and Deron Payne and Clelin Ferrell and John Allen and Johnny Newton, you guys are going to have to step up on that defensive front if you want any hopes of beating this Eagles team. Obviously, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are 2 awesome receivers, and Dallas Goedert has been huge and very impactful for this Eagles offense in this playoffs, but it's going to come down to narrowing in on Saquon Barkley and slowing him down because Jalen Hurts will not have the mobility that he normally has. Now, on the Commanders side of things with that offensive line, you got, I believe, Trent Smith coming in at left guard, or at right guard, excuse me, because Sam Cosmi tore his ACL. That's a huge blow for this Commanders offensive line because they have been a top 5 unit all year in blocking for their rookie quarterback. So that's going to be an area where I circle and say, all right, let's see how those matchups go against Jalen Carter on that defensive line. And that's really where the boys become men in the trenches, because this is an Eagles team that without Nakobe Dean is still a force to be reckoned with. Quinyon Mitchell's probably going to suit up in this game. That secondary is lethal with him, Big Play Slay, and Cooper DeJean and CJ Gardner-Johnson. Nothing to play around with. I think that this is going to be a very close battle. Jayden Daniels is going to use his legs and make the Eagles game plan, make Vic Fangio game plan for Jayden and his mobility, similar to how Josh Allen is going to have to use his legs in order to beat the Chiefs. I'm going to pick the Commanders. After a long-winded breakdown for you guys, I'm picking the Commanders. I should have went with my gut and stuck with my gut against Detroit. I didn't. I'm going with them in this game. I think Jayden Daniels makes all the difference, and I think six turnovers in this playoffs for the Commanders defense and for the Eagles defense. This is going to come down to which team's defense creates and generates more turnovers and makes the opposing quarterback make costly mistakes. But the poise that I've seen from Jayden Daniels has been otherworldly. I'm picking Jayden, the rookie, to be the first quarterback in NFL history to lead his team to the promised land, to play in a Super Bowl. He would be the first to do that, and I'm rolling with it. I think Jalen Hurts being beat up with that knee and having a lack of mobility is going to play a factor. With the way that this Commanders secondary has been locking up and playing well, Marshawn Lattimore, you got to step up, because out of everybody, surprisingly, he's been the Achilles heel as of late for this Commanders secondary. But with that being said, as a whole unit, I think that they make a play and they cause turnovers, but you got to slow down Barkley. He's been a man on a mission. I might be insane for making this pick, but Saquon Barkley, you have to slow down because he looks unstoppable. Nobody has been able to stop this man. And I already gave you the numbers against the Commanders in the regular season. So they're really going to have to lock in. Joe Witt Jr. is going to have to try to slow down and contain Saquon Barkley because he's playing the best football of his life, and he is an absolute phenom. What say you guys? Drop your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, and let's get this AFC NFC Championship Sunday underway. These are the picks. This is the preview. Subscribe to the channel and give me your thoughts.